I'm Kelsey Zeiser. I'm a senior editor at Light Reading. We're here at Mobile World Congress in Las Vegas, and we've got our hard hats on because we're about to do a P5G demo with NTT. I'm joined by David here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at NTT.
So I'm here with the IoT team showing solutions that run over these 5G networks. This is our 5G in a box. So this is an entire 5G network you can deploy for doing on-site testing.
Okay, and so why is it important for us to have these hard hats on, as stylish as they are?
So this is all about safety. So we've got a feed, so we're taking a camera view over here. If we take our helmets off, you can see my face is highlighted in red. So this indicates that I'm in trouble. I'm not wearing my safety helmet. I put my safety helmet back on, and we're now in the safe zone. So.
Okay, excellent. So this sounds like a really important application for worker safety. With this being, manufacturing sites, what are some examples of where your customers would use this?
Mines, ports, rail yards, manufacturing, warehouses, anywhere where things are likely to maybe fall on the head, where they have to wear gloves. If you're in a mine, you have to wear ventilation or respirators. Safety vests. I guess there's a whole range of challenges in spaces that are shared between people and vehicles or robots. So you need to make sure there's certain zones, are people staying inside their safe zones, are vehicles traveling too fast. So it's a big area. It's a real issue for these facilities to keep people safe.
Okay, so it sounds like it can, take account of safety measures for not only people but vehicles as well.
Yeah. And the great thing about that, it does it all automatically, all the time. It doesn't go to sleep, it doesn't, look in the wrong direction. So it means you really can manage those things that you can now finally monitor.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about, sometimes I'll see an action movie and the security guy's not paying attention and then they get by with the heist. So always on is good.
And it kind of makes it less personal too. It's all about keeping everybody safe. So the other thing we could do is to basically remove the person's face from the scene, and it's just purely about the safety aspect, not about people being, infringing, even if it was an accidental situation. So.
And tell us a little bit more about the technology behind it. Why is it important for it to be on a private 5G network?
One of the real challenges that you have with systems where you're using a shared network is that you can't guarantee that services will always be available. So the benefit of a 5G network is you can micro-slice a piece off and allocate it just to this task.
Okay. And do you have any other examples of, customers that are using this? Any other use cases that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, absolutely. So another big use case is location. So one of the great things about these events is, even from a camera, they're not absent of location. So we know where the camera is, we know where the events occurred, so we can literally report where in the facility perhaps the vehicle sped, or maybe where the person wasn't wearing their hard hat. And then that ties into the overall location solution. So in fact, all kinds of IoT data, we can locate them using special little 5G trackers that we use. So think of it as something similar to what the police can do to triangulate a cell phone. We can basically do it inside a facility, so you can track and find devices using 5G.
And are there any other security or privacy components or features to it? You mentioned, you can kind of provide some privacy for the person's face. What are some features there regarding security?
So for the device tracking, for example, because that may be a person's personal device with a company SIM card in it, the tracking is an opt-in process, and it's also potentially gated based on the time of day. So only at certain times would that device be able to be tracked. Often the things that are being tracked are things like tools or vehicles or equipment, which is less of a concern in terms of privacy. And the other issue is safety. So there are situations where being able to track people is incredibly important for safety. So things like mines, and you're trying to make sure where people are within the facility. So it's, it can have a really positive aspect in that regard.
Yeah. Are there any COVID-related applications in terms of making sure that folks entering a facility have the necessary vaccines that a company might require? Or is that a separate application?
Yeah, if you're doing face recognition, which is absolutely possible, and people may choose to use face recognition for easy check-in, so it makes it easy for people to check in the beginning of the day and clock in. You could do additional checks, like is that person vaccinated? But the other thing that's really useful is for people counting. So it's a surprisingly big challenge that there will be spaces where you have a room count limit, and who keeps track of that? And if there's an accident, how do you make sure everyone has evacuated the space? So the ability to have automatic people counting across your entire facility is incredibly useful.
Okay. In addition to people counting, can you make sure that people, if they need to be 6 feet apart, is that something you can add?
Yep, absolutely, spacing. And then for spaces more maybe in the retail space, you can also measure dwell time. or potentially loitering, which is are people hanging around, what are the things they're interested in, what are they engaging with. So it's a powerful set of technologies if they're used appropriately.
Yeah. Well, this has been really interesting. Thanks so much for showing me the demo, and my hat's off to you.
Absolutely. Thank you.